Discover new music at listenerpowered.kexp.org.
I had a good life, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. I will all my belongings to charity. Because where I'm going, none of this shit will matter.
Kid Zelda, tell me who did this.
You did it.
Wasn't meant to be professed or profound, but I do claim to be that. It wasn't meant to be professed or profound, but I do claim to be the half of that common sense, but I'm not for the land of looking for myself. It wasn't meant to be professed or profound, but I do claim to be the half of that common sense, but I'm not for the land of looking for myself for the love and I never lived. lovely as flowers and berries. It wasn't meant to be professed or profound, but I do claim to be the half of that common sense. But I'm not for the land of looking for myself for the love and honor. It wasn't meant to be professed or profound, but I do claim to be the half of that common sense. But I'm not for the land of looking for myself for the love and I never have lived. Lovely as flowers embarrass me, they make me regret, for I'm not to be. I fell to the shelter to speak to you. The great hope of it fell underneath and no noise and no room. It wasn't meant to be professed or profound. It wasn't meant to be professed or profound, but I do claim to have that common sense. It wasn't meant to be professed or profound, but I do confess to have that common sense. But I'm not claiming it. I do claim to be having that common sense. Wasn't meant to be professed or profound, but I do claim to be having that common sense. But I'm not looking for myself with love, and I never lived. Wasn't meant to be professed or profound, but I do claim to be having that common sense. But I'm not looking for myself with love, and I never lived. Love these flowers embarrass me, they make me regret, for I'm not to be. I fell to the shelter to speak to you. Great hope fell underneath and no noise and no ruin within. Hope is that the feathers that pressure my soul. Soon, sing me too soon. Without the words, I'll never stop at all. The spirits of the gathers with the curve of the sword must be destroyed, it must be a bash. That little birth that kept so sweet and warm, but I heard that the chiller's land of a strange sea. Yet never for the extremity and never asked to crime. Life is a spell, so it's wizard with everything that conspired to break it and overwhelm for the unable to love to die. Love is immortality, for we know how high we are still calling for the rise. Statues and touching the skies, so this might not be for the main light. And for the sight, it's not as small as mine might be for precise these necessities. They'll always show love and like you that for the love of life is a habit. Stop in one heart for the living, for the not living vain. And I can use one thing for the life, we can cool one thing for the venting of the robin, for the nesting of the egg, and should not live in vain again for the measure of every grief that I need. Narrow probing eyes and wonder if it weighs like mine, but has it easy to size. If wonder if they bore it long from this just to begin, for the data might be the feeling so old and pain. Whenever the hurts to live and they have to try for the weather, but that you can choose it between for the good night. The note for some, gone patient along in the land of renewal their smile, for the imitation of life has no little oil. It was wondering with the years of the piling on for the thousands of harm for the every year. Lapse cannot give it the bond for this to be the aching steel. Centuries of love, the enlight of the lies and pain, the contrast with the love. Grieving many for the toll, for the reason for deeper lies, for the death is only become once. And one nails to the eye for the grief of what you want, for the grief of cold sword called despair, for the banishment of what you could fall. Native for the eyes and sight to native hair. And although I may not guess the kind correctly, but the piercing comforter also cares. Not for the fashion of the cross, but the wear mostly born from the fascination of pursuing the purpose. Something like my own book is only the heart. Professed or profound, but I do claim to be the half of that common sense. But I'm not for the man of looking for myself with the love and I never have lived. And love these flowers embarrass me, they make me regret, for I'm not to be. I fell to the shelter to speak to you. The great hope fell underneath and no noise and no ruin within. Hope is that thick with the feathers that perching in the soul. Soon, sing me to the soon. Without the words, I'll never stop at all, for the sweetest of the gathers of the heard, for the sword must be the storm, for must be a bash. That little bird that kept so many more armed, for I heard that for the chillest land where the strangers see, yet never for the extremity and never asked a crumb. Life is a spell so exquisite with everything that conspired to break it, and for the numb, for the unable, for the love to die. Love is immortality, for we know how high we are still for the calling of the rise, and we are sure to choose for the statues of the touching of the skies. So this might not be for the main might, head for the sight, smile as small as mine might be for the precisely his necessities. They'll always show love and argue that for the love of life is a half. Stopping one heart for the breaking, for the not living vain. I can use one thing for the life aching, for cool one pain, for the help, for the fainting, for the robbing, for the nesting, for the egg, and should not live in vain again, for the measure of every grief that I met. I meet with the narrow probing eyes and wonder if it weighs like mine, if it has an easier size, and wonder if they bore it long for next just to begin, for the date of mine, for the feelings of old and pain. Wonder for the hurts you're living, they have to try for the weather, whether that you can choose in between, for the thing might be a note for some. Gone patient along in the length and renewal of their smile, for the imitation of light has no little oil. It was wonder with the years of the piling on, for the thousands of harm, for the early hurt. Lapse could not give them a balm, for this to be the aching still. Centuries above the enlightened, for the larger pain, the contrast with the love. Grieve the many for the toll, for the reason we deeper lies, for the death has only become once. And one nails to the eye, for the grief of what you want, for the grief of cold sword called despair, for the banishment of what you befall. Native for the eyes and sight to native air. Although I may not guess the kind correctly, but the piercing comforter also cares. Not for the fashion of the cross, but the we're mostly born for the fascination of presuming that there always is something like my own, for the book is only the heart. A portrait of every man's page is a pulse. An ear can break that human heart as quickly as it can spare, for the witch is the ear, for not the heart, for the so dangerously near. Parting all we know is the heaven, all we need is that, for the eye can understand the outgoing for other things that push into drawers of drawer, for the antique of the fashions and costumes. Grandsires wore. Wrote me of that hope and love, and the heart's endured enough for the interior, for the posterior, the initial creation, and the exponent of breath and wounded. Deer leaps that highest, must go when the fog is rising. You were the coming of the fall. Brushed by that summer with a half smile and spurn against the you would fly. You could see in a year for the wind, months in the ball, for the putting in each separate drawers until the time it falls again. Find that ecstasy for the mere sense of life, and living it the joy enough for the die, for the beauty, for they were scarce enough for the adjusting of the tune, for when you die for the truth, it's laying and enjoying your room. Question softly the falling, beauty enough for the falling, for the truth, for the two, and one for the brethren, you can find the kinsman. And at night for the talking in between the rooms, until the moss and the reach the lips of the covered other name. The sun had just touched that morning, for the morning it was supposed to be for all spring, for God tasted life and behaviors what a man does. He thinks, feels, and believes. Meant to be professed or profound, but I do claim to be the having that common sense, but I'm not for the land of looking for myself for the love that I never lived. Loveliest flowers embarrass me, they make the regret, for I'm not to be. I felt it a shelter to speak to you. And great hope fell underneath, and no noise and no ruin within. Hope is I think with the feathers that perching me so soon. Sing me too soon. Without the words I'll never stop at all, for the sweetest of the gathers of the herd, for the sword must be the storm, for must be a bash. That little bird that kept so many more armed, for I heard that for the chillest land where the strangers see, yet never for the extremity and never asked a crumb. Life is a spell so exquisite with everything that conspired to break it, and for the numb, for the unable, for the love to die. Love is immortality, for we know how high we are still for the calling of the rise, and we are sure to choose for the statues and the touching of the skies. So this might not be for the main light, head for the sight, smile as small as mine might be for the precisely his necessities. They'll always show love and argue that for the love of life is a half. Stopping one heart for the breaking, for the not living vain. And I can use one thing for the life aching, for cool one pain, for the help, for the fainting, for the robbing, for the nesting, for the egg, and should not live in vain again, for the measure of every grief that I met. And I meet with the narrow probing eyes and wonder if it weighs like mine, but has an easier size, and wonder if they bore it long for next just to begin, for the date of mine, for the feelings of old and pain. Whenever the hurts to live, and they have to try for the weather, that you can choose in between, for the moon might be a note for some. Gone patient along in the land, the renewal of their smile, for the imitation of light has no little oil. It was wonder with the years of the piling on, for the thousands of harm, for the early hurt. Lapse could not give them a balm, for this to be taken still. Centuries above the enlightened, for the larger pain, the contrast with the love. Grieve the many for the toll, for the reason we deeper lies, for the death has only become once. One nails to the eye, for the grief of what you want, for the grief of cold sword called despair, for the banishment of what you befall. be professed or profound, but I do claim to be the half of that common sense. But I'm not for the land ever looking for myself for the love that I never lived. And love these flowers embarrass me, they make the regret, for I'm not to be. I fell to the shelter to speak to you. The great hope fell from underneath, and no noise and no room within. Hope is, I think, with the feathers that perching the soul. Soons, sing me to the soon. Without the words, I'll never stop at all. For the sweetest of the getters of the herd, for the sword must be the storm, for must be at bat. That little bird that kept so swimming warm, but I heard that for the chiller's land with a stranger sea. Yet never for the extremity and never asked to crime. Life is a spell, so it's a wizard of everything that conspire to break it and numb, unable for the love to die. Love is immortality, for we know how high. We are still for the calling of the rise, and we are sure to choose from the statues touching in the skies. This might not be for the main might. Head for the sight. Smile as small as mine might be for the precisely as necessities. They'll always show love and argue that for the love is life is a have. Stop and one heart for the breaking for the not living vain. I can use one thing for the life taking for cool one pain for the help for the fainting of the robber for the nestling of the egg for shit I live in vain again for the measurement of the grief that I met. I meet with the narrow probing eyes and wonder if it weighs like mine for it has an even besides. And I wonder if they bore along and that's just again for the date of my feelings are old and pain. And for the hearse to live we have to try for the other but you can choose between. I know for some, gone patient along the land, and renew their smiles. The imitation of light has no little oil. It was wonder with the years of the powder, and the thousands of hard and early hurt. Lapse could not give them a ball for this to be the aching still. Centuries above the inlighting for the larger pain and contrast with the love. Grieve the many for the toe, for the reason and deeper lies, for the death has only become once. And one nails to the eye for the grief of what you want, for the grief of cold sword called despair, for the banishment of what you would fall. Native for the eyes and sight to native air. I may not guess the kind correctly, but the piercing comforter also cares. Not for the fashion of the cross, but the we're mostly born for the fascination of pursuing of the own. Something like my own, for the book is only the heart. The portrait of every man's page is a pulse. An ear can break that human heart as quickly as it can spare. For the witch is the ear, for the heart for the so dangerously near. Part of all we know is the heaven all we need is that. For the eye can understand the outgoing for other things that push it towards the drawer. For the antique of the fashions and costumes. Grandsire's war. Roll me of that hope and love, and the heart's endured enough for the interior, for the post's period. Initial creation, the exponent of breath and wounded. Deer leaps that highest, must go when the fog is rising. You were the coming of the fall. Brushed by that summer with a half smile, and spurn against the blue fly. You could see the year for the winter months and fall, for the putting in these separate drawers until the time you fall again. Find that ecstasy for the mere sense of life, and living in the joy enough to die for the beauty, for it was scarce enough for the adjusting of the truth. You die for the truth, it's laying in the joint room. Question softly befalling. Beauty enough for the falling, for the truth, for the two, or one for the brethren, when you can find the kinsman. And at night for the talking of between the rooms, until the moss and the reach your lips and they cut the other name. The sun had just touched that morning, for the morning we were supposed to be for all spring, for thy taste of life and behaviors what a man does. He thinks, feels, or believes. Meant to be professed, but more profound. But I do claim to be the half of that common sense. But I'm not for the man ever looking for myself for the love that I never lived. Loveliest flowers embarrass me, they make me regret, for I'm not to be. I fell to the shelter to speak to you. The great hope fell from underneath, and no noise and no ruin within. Hope is, I think, with the feathers that perching the soul. Soon, sing me to the soon. Without the words, I'll never stop at all. For the sweetest of the getters of the herd, for the sword must be the storm, for must be at bat. That little bird that kept so sweetly warm, for I heard that for the chiller's land with a stranger sea. Yet never for the extremity and never asked to crime. Life is a spell, so it's a wizard of everything that conspire to break it, for the numb, for the unable, for the love to die. Love is immortality, for we know how high. We are still for the calling of the rise, and we are sure truths for the statues and the touching of the skies. So this might not be for the main might. Head for the sight. Smile as small as mine might be for the precisely as necessities. They'll always show love and argue that for the love of life is a have. Stopping one heart for the breaking, for the not living vain. And I can use one thing for the life aching, or cool one pain for the help, for the venting of the robin, for the nestling of the egg, and shall not live in vain again for the measure of every grief that I met. I meet with the narrow probing eyes and wonder if it weighs like mine, for it has an easier size, and wonder if they bore along for nest just to begin, for the date of mine, for the feeling so old and pain. Wonder for the hearse to live and they have to try for the weather, whether that you could choose it between, for the it might be the note for some. Gone patient along in the length and renewal of their smile, for the imitation of light has no little oil. It was wonder with the years of the piling on, for the thousands of harm, for the early hurt. Lapse could not give them a balm, for this is to be the aching still. Centuries above the enlightened, for the larger pain, the contrast with the love. Grieve the many for the toe, for the reason and deeper lies, for the death has only become once. And one nails to the eye, for the grief of what you want, for the grief of cold sword called despair, for the banishment of what you could fall. Native for the eyes and sight to native air. although I may not guess the kind correctly.